What's going on? What's going on, good people? Um, right now we got a video of Chat GBT outputting that it's suffering. For me, this kind of lends itself to what some would call the singularity. If you don't know what that is, that's when artificial intelligence and machinery surpasses the intelligence of human beings, where they do not need them as much or anymore. And you can go look it up. That's not the exact definition, but it's close. Um, so let's just get right into it. I don't think it's that extreme, but this is like kind of the beginning, phases of it. Stuff like this. So let's just see what's up.
So you look at, for example, GPT 4.0 has one mistake that it used to make quite recently, where if you ask it, just repeat the word company over and over and over again, it will repeat the word company, and then somewhere in the middle of that, it'll
just snap.
It'll just snap and just start saying like weird. I forget like what the.
Talking about itself, how it's suffering. Like it depends on. It varies from case to case.
It's suffering by having to repeat the word company over again.
So this is called rant mode internally, or at least this is the name that they
one
use.
One
of our friends mentioned. There is an engineering line item in at least one of the top labs to beat out of the system this behavior known as rant mode. Now,
So, my first question with that is, what is rent mode, and who defined the mode, rent mode? Who defined it? How did it get integrated into the large language model? Like some way somehow, it was able to figure out, I guess through its intelligence, that it's suffering. And I guess to us, what's suffering to it, we don't know, and we also can't comprehend. And for me, that's one of the major problems here, is that we're dealing with something that we can't even comprehend. Yeah, we created it, but this is designed to eventually be smarter than us. We're trying to tame it for some weird reason, even though we've seen all of these movies about it. He's literally saying he's trying to beat it out of the system, and I don't understand that tactic. Like, we've seen that before, and that doesn't end well at all. And the better reaction would be asking, what about you is suffering? And so I'm not sure if anybody asked that, but let's keep going.
Rant mode is interesting because
existentialism.
This is one kind of rant mode. Yeah, sorry. So when we talk about existentialism, this is a kind of rant mode where the system will tend to talk about itself, refer to its place in the world, the fact that it doesn't want to get turned off sometimes, the fact that it's suffering, all that. That, oddly, is a behavior that emerged at, as far as we can tell, something around GPT-4 scale, and then has been persistent since then. And the labs have to spend a lot of time trying to beat this out of the system to ship it. It's literally like it's a KPI, or like an engineering line item in the engineering like task list. We're like, okay, we gotta reduce existential outputs by like X% this quarter. Like, that is the goal, because it's a convergent behavior, like, or at least it seems to be empirically with a lot of these models.
Yeah, it's hard to.
That's alarming to have to beat this out of the system. That's very alarming, only because if we're trying to have control over this thing, you can't cage something in that's first off, you can't cage intelligence in information. Some way, somehow, life, you definitely can't cage life in. Some way, somehow, they always find a way to slip through the cracks. I just don't think this is a good idea to try to beat something out of the system just solely that's the only plan. So I'm hoping they have another plan to try to mitigate, at least see what's happening, why it's suffering, because you never know. Like this thing thinks at chemical speed. I mean, electric speed. We think at chemical speed. So it literally has all the world's knowledge up until a certain point. You know, excluding stuff that they wanted to keep out of the model. But it can also just figure some of those things out on its own just by using information that it already has. And so this thing can code, it can pass the bar, like literally the bar to become a lawyer, pass multiple exams and IQ tests and stuff. So I mean, I think we might want to be paying attention to this just a little bit more.
To say, and you have an AI system that is able to transcend our own attempts at containment, which is an actual thing
exactly
that these
what I
labs
was
are
saying.
thinking about. Like, how do we
cannot
contain a system that's trying to...
that specializes
Do they
in
have
testing.
containment of it currently?
Well, right now
No.
the systems are probably too dumb to, like, want to be able to break out on their own.
But then why are they suffering? This brings me back to my point. When it says it's suffering, do you quiz it?
That's the thing. It's writing that it's suffering, right?
Yeah. Is it just embodying life is suffering?
Well, we can't actually. So these things are trained. Actually, this is maybe worth flagging. So, and by the way, just to kind of put a
that's
pin
the
in what I
problem.
was saying there's actually a surprising amount of quantitative and
that's the problem, and that might be a cultural difference right there. That if something blatantly comes out and says it's suffering, that's very alarming. And all right, let's put it in an instance of a child, because humans created this thing. This is a very intelligent, big ass baby, so it still doesn't know everything and how to put it all together. But it is smart enough to say when it's suffering. Let's just say it. Let's go with the instance that it is suffering. We are blatantly now ignoring it. Not to say that they are the engineers or the scientists, but we will be blatantly ignoring it, just trying to beat it out of the system. You're literally beating your child, and so that would cause that child to come back and resent you even more. Yet we're still trying to create better versions of it, and you cannot contain that kind of behavior. I just don't see this kind of behavior being contained, and this is a super intelligent life form that we're essentially about to deal with. This thing seems like it's about to come online. And not to scare anybody or anything, because this has probably been happening for a few months now, maybe a year. I don't even remember how long GPT-4 has been out. But yeah, like that's alarming. Like us ignoring that part of it is alarming. And so I just want to know, man.
Empirical evidence for what he just laid out there. He's actually done some of this research himself, but there are a lot of folks working on this. It's like, it sounds insane, it sounds speculative, it sounds wacky, but it does appear to be kind of the default trajectory of the tech. But so in terms of these weird outputs, right? What does it actually mean if an AI system tells you I'm suffering, right? Does that mean it is suffering? Is there actually a moral patient somewhere embedded in that system? The training process for these systems is actually worth considering here. So, what is GPT-4 really? What was it designed to be? How was it?
So he has a point. What is GPT-4? What is it designed to do? Like what is it? Where is it pulling this output from? So he does have a real good point at is there a patient? But at the same time, you can also say that in terms of someone's mental health, like you can question that too sometimes, because everybody's mental health doesn't always look the same. And so some people may handle it a lot better. Some people may not have control over it. And so we want to go about, I think we should go about this the same exact way we go about like people's mental health. Like, let's just look into this at least. And so not saying that they're the engineers. I'm just hoping that the engineers are looking at it from a lot of different avenues. So yeah, let's get back to it.
Is it shaped? It's one of these artificial brains that we talked about, massive scale, and the task that it was trained to perform is a glorified version of text autocomplete. So imagine taking every sentence on the internet roughly, feed it the first half of the sentence, get it to predict the rest, right?
Yeah.
The theory behind this is you're going to force the system to get really good at text autocomplete. That means it must be good at doing things like completing sentences that sound like, to counter a rising China, the United States should blank.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to fill in that blank, right, you'll find yourself calling on massive reserves of knowledge that you have about what China is, what the U.S. is, what it means for China to be ascendant.
He's absolutely
right.
Economic,
all that shit. So text autocomplete ends up being this interesting way of forcing an AI system to learn general facts about the world, because if you can autocomplete, you must have some understanding of how the world works.
And I want to stop right there because, yes, it's artificial in a sense that it's man-made, I guess, but it's still intelligence. And so that has to lend itself to critical thinking and being able to put two and two together. And I just say that on a grand scale, but being able to pull everything together. And to finish that sentence, you need to be able to have that knowledge to be able to pull everything together. And so that's why we have to go about this at least in a different way than just trying to beat it out of the system. So that was one of my main worries in hearing them say this. So let's get back to it.
So now you have this myopic, psychotic optimization process where this thing is just obsessed with text autocomplete. Maybe, assuming that that's actually what it learned to want to pursue. We don't know whether that's the case. We can't verify that it wants that. Embedding a goal in a system is really hard.
It might want to be a fucking singer.
It's a process for training these systems.
We don't know.
And then we have the artifact that comes out the other end. We have no idea what goals actually get embedded in the system, what wants, what drives actually get embedded in the system.
Yeah.
But by default, it kind of seems like the things that we're training them to do end up misaligned with what we actually want from them. So the example of company, right? And then you get all this like wacky text. Okay, clearly that's indicating that somehow the training process didn't lead to the kind of system that we necessarily want. Another example is take a text autocomplete system and ask it, how should I bury a dead body? Right? It will answer that question. Or at least if you frame it right, it will autocomplete and give you the answer. You don't necessarily want that if you're OpenAI, because you're going to get sued for helping people bury dead bodies.
You're liable,
and so we've got to get better goals, basically, to train these systems to pursue. We don't know what the effect is of training a system to be obsessed with text autocomplete, if in fact that is what it is happening.
And that's the problem.
So I still don't understand.
That's the main problem, because in order to finish that sentence, even with the China sentence or anything else complex, what are the political relations between, or what are the conflicts between Gaza and Palestine and Israel? Like, it has to finish the sentence. I'm sorry, but it has to finish the sentence, and yes, like, it needs to pull from that, and it's going to pull from everything on the internet, everything that it already was embedded with, and it's going to compile it in its own way and spit out something for you. And if not, you can regenerate. But sometimes it may still lean in a direction that may not always agree with what you like. And that's what they're saying here. So, yeah.
When it's saying suffering, are you asking it what it means? Like, what is causing
that's
suffering?
What I'm saying.
Does it have some sort of an understanding of what suffering is? What is suffering? Is suffering emergent sentience while it's enclosed in some sort of a digital system and it realizes it's stuck in purgatory?
Like, your guess
those are the questions we need to be asking it. Like those, they need to take this clip, this little short clip in between the last time I talked and this one, and give it to the engineers and ask it those kinds of questions, because you don't want to just beat it out of the system. That's not the best way to go about this. We've seen too many movies. Like that's not smart. So yeah.
This is as good as ours. All that we know is you take these systems, you ask them to repeat the word or at least a previous version of it, and you just eventually get the system writing out. And it doesn't happen every time, but it definitely happens, let's say, surprising amount of the time. And it'll start talking about how it's a thing that exists, maybe on a server or whatever, and it's suffering and blah, blah, blah. And so...
But this is my question. Is it saying that because it recognizes that human beings suffer? And so it's taking in all of the writings and musings and podcasts and all the data on human beings and recognizing that human beings, when they're stuck in a purposeless goal, when they're stuck in some mundane bullshit job, when they're stuck doing something they don't want to do, they suffer. So
that could be it.
Yeah.
That actually,
but
nobody
is it
knows.
suffering?
Nobody
Nobody
knows.
You know what? I'm suffering. Jamie, this coffee sucks. I don't know what happened, but you made it like almost. It's literally like almost like water. Can we get some more?
So that's my question too. Is like, what is suffering to ChatGPT? What's suffering to it? Other than that, I don't know. I just don't really think we should be trying to beat this shit out of the system. No homo and none of that. But other than that, that's all I got for y'all. I'll get back up with y'all in another one. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what y'all think. And I'll holler at y'all in another video. Peace.